Good evening, I'm Shane Jones. Leading the news at 7. The Barbados Workers Union is singing a different tune, contrary to claims that the Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan has the full backing of the social partnership. Amid concerns, the BWU has had very little to say about the plan, and now General Secretary Tony Moore is stating the union's position.
The Executive Council of the BWU does not wish for anyone to be misled into thinking that the statement made by us on page 8 of the Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan is anything more than this union's good faith undertaking and commitment to any recovery exercise for Barbados. Especially at this time, may we all be aware and wary of those who have mastered the Machiavellian art of paltering.
Ms. Moore says the BWU will ensure it plays an active role in any recovery effort. The opposition Barbados Labour Party walked out of Parliament this morning. This followed contentious debate from members of both sides after opposition leader and committee chair Mia Mottley laid a Public Accounts Committee report. Commerce Minister Donald Innes, who is a committee member, raised an issue with the way the bill was laid. He says he had not been invited to the previous meeting of the committee and had not been able to review the final report before it was presented.
If we were notified, Madam Deputy Speaker, and did not attend, then I could not quarrel with the Honourable Leader Opposition Chair Cbc the report today. But I saw that draft, that report. I saw it on Friday evening. Not Friday, sorry, Wednesday evening. Today is Friday. I saw it on Wednesday evening in my system, telling me that this is the final report submitted. And right away I said, but how could you submit a final report of the PAC, which I am a member, and did not invite me to that last meeting, to this last cell, to discuss the report? That's my own position. I am not quarreling about the content of the report.
However, opposition leader Mia Mottley said it was not the time nor place for debate on the report.
A member on giving notice to report, this matter is not capable of debate. If on the moving of the adoption of the report, the member wants to make the points that he just made, then the honourable member is entitled so to do. But no one can now reverse the fact that as chairman of this committee, I have now given notice of the Public Accounts Committee report, and that fact cannot change. Now, if the member wants to make his other points, I will meet him here in the hustings or wherever.
There has been some opposition to the notion that parents should be held accountable for the deviant behavior of their children. About 2 weeks ago, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite had announced that his ministry would soon be introducing legislation that would see parents held responsible. However, during a recent panel discussion on the topic, the majority of the panelists were of the opinion that this should only apply on a case-by-case basis. Panelists Director of Parados Sheila Stewart, Magistrate Graveny Bannister, and Sergeant Hallam Jemmett, who is in charge of the Juvenile Liaison Scheme, all say that it should depend on the particular situation. Sergeant Jemmett says each case should be handled on its own merit, as there are societal influences that may impact a child's behavior.
The influences are the media and the school or peer pressure, if we put the two together. And for us to say that the parents should be accountable is saying that the parents have the only influence on children. My belief is that a child should be able to exhibit self-discipline and be a critical thinker.
Also included on the panel was President of the Barbados National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations, Sean Gibbs. While he agrees that social media has an impact on behavior, he says this is because parental control, guidance and monitoring is lacking. He says he is in favor of parents being held accountable.
care of our children is paramount to the issues that we're having in this society. And when I say hold parents accountable, I believe that if you look at it in its entirety, if you refuse to exercise due care and attention driving on the road, using your cell phone, and you get into an accident, you're responsible for the accident. You might not do it deliberately, but you're responsible. And parents have that responsibility of due care and attention in providing and looking after their children.
We'll take a short break here and come back with more news. Decisions to gradually extend the official retirement age over the years is negatively affecting the workforce. That's the view of Housing Minister Dennis Kelman, who believes the job market is now so saturated that able-bodied young people are struggling for opportunities.
There's a situation since 2003 where that proposal, and I oppose it, I must tell you, that proposal now is hindering young people from getting onto the job market as fast as they can. And I think it's a big error, because when one looks at the attitude of young people when they first come on the job, they're aggressive, they want to do everything, and it is very important, because the more young people we can have, the more productivity we can get and more we can increase growth.
Minister Kelman was speaking on the sidelines of the Barbados Land Registry's 30th anniversary celebrations, where he revealed the department's plans to continue with efforts to modernize its operations. The festivities included the unveiling of a plaque bearing the minister's name, the cutting of 4 anniversary cakes, and the planting of a fruit tree.
The registry has upgraded its way of doing business, thereby improving efficiency by providing the facility to conduct searches from an online database, as opposed to searching many documents that we have in the archives. Currently, the registry is in discussion to have conveyances online. This is a milestone we hope to accomplish in the near future to continue to be a leader and to correct the myth of delays of doing business with this department.
The Department of Emergency Management has received $900,000 worth of disaster management, response and restoration equipment from the government of Japan. It was presented this morning at the DEM's Warren's headquarters. Japan's ambassador to Barbados, Teruhiko Shinada, says the aid is intended to reinforce disaster preparedness and resilience in Barbados.
Included are tents, tarpaulin sheets, waterproof footwear known as waders, megaphones, lighting apparatus, and generators. Storage bins for those tools are also provided for each of the island's 11 parishes. The vehicles being handed over include 2 rescue vehicles, 1 fire truck, and 1 ambulance. Of course, while it would be better for none of these items to be used, as an old Japanese proverb says, when you are better prepared, you have less worries.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite believes the equipment will boost the response capabilities in all 11 parishes.
I said $1.8 million in equipment is not insignificant. And the equipment goes across various ministries, across fire, health, here at the Department of Emergency Management. You'd have heard the ambassador spoke about the equipment that we're going to deploy across each parish. Again, because we want to be able to respond, we want to ensure that if there's an event, that St. Lucie can respond as much as possible in St. Lucie, St. Philip, etc. There's always a possibility, as was demonstrated by those of us who went into Dominica, and that certain areas will be cut off. And as much as possible, we want to be able to respond at a localized level.
More Barbadians are making efforts to learn more about local labor legislation. Acting Senior Labor Officer Linda Bowen says many people have been calling or heading to the Labor Department daily seeking recourse on payment or other issues. She was speaking on the sidelines of the department's labor management seminar at the Warren's office complex.
Persons often wonder, well, how do we become entitled to holiday pay? The Holidays with Pay Act says that you become entitled after the first year of employment. You're entitled to 3 weeks holiday. Sometimes we hear of stories where employees are required to revisit the workplace every week to collect their holiday pay. 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. If it's a case of being entitled to 3 weeks holiday. Now the Act specifically says it is holiday with pay. So that expressly means that when you go on holiday, you're supposed to be going home with the payment in your hand.
During the seminar, participants got an overview of several pieces of legislation and best practices.
We look at the SHOPS Act. We also look at the different types of employment leave, which would include the holiday with pay, the Employment of Women Maternity Leave Act. We also speak about those things not covered by law like sick leave, paternity leave, study leave, compassionate leave, and of course we give a presentation on the Employment Rights Act and the provisions of that.
20 lucky Barbadians have received free groceries and an ease in their supermarket bills for 1 year. They are the winners in the Jordan Supermarket 2017 Spend and Eat competition. Rianne Phillips tells us more.
These are the faces of the 20 who won prizes ranging from $1,000 to $5,000 in groceries with Jordan Supermarket. 5 each were chosen from the supermarket's 4 branches. Natalie Thomas is the first place winner from Jordan's Fairchild Street.
I was shopping at Jordan's for like 10 years. Me and my husband is normally shop like every month, and when my husband rated it, it was like, you rate every slip that I got, because I got something this year after we had 10 years. So it was like, yeah, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, thank God it comes at a really good time right now because we really need it for true.
It's also a tale of determination for Beulah Griffith. She's been shopping at Jordan's Speightstown since June 1993.
I entered many occasions, so this is my first time. I'm very happy to be the first prize winner.
Both Augustine Jacob and Mark Collymore are happy to be rewarded for spending at the Batsers Road and Fitzvillage branches respectively.
For Christmas I spent over $300, and this is the first time I've ever won anything from Jordan's or anything in general actually. So I'm happy to be first prize winner.
It was around the Christmas period, and you know, lots of baking and cooking, so you know, spending over $700, and so I entered the competition.
Assistant Manager at Jordan Supermarket, Sabrina Jordan, explains the competition is their way of thanking customers for their support.
The Spend and Eat competition has been around for more than 15 years now, and during this year's competition we have given away over $100,000 in groceries. The competition started November 15, 2017 and ended January 31st, 2018, having the final draw taking place February 1st.
There are 4 branches of Jordan's supermarkets across the island. Rianne Phillips, Cbc News.
A secondary school alumni is taking the problem of school violence seriously. President of the Alexandra Old Scholars Association, Felicia Sue, revealed that the grouping of past students is embarking on a partnership with the school to help address any disciplinary issues facing the students.
We are teaming up with the guidance counselor at the school to offer assistance of alumni members to students who have shown disciplinary problems. We've also had one of our alumni members indicated that who is retired, she's going to go into the school. She's retired head of Parados, Marcia Graham, and she has volunteered her time to go into the school also to speak to our students.
Fantastic. She's also encouraging other Old Scholars associations to get on board. The call was made during a press conference to announce a fundraising concert to be held by the association under the patronage of Cultural Ambassador the Mighty Gabby. The proceeds will assist in an ongoing beautification project spearheaded by the Old Scholars. It's part of an all-round effort to give back to the school.
The funds from this concert, as I said, will go towards the refurbishment of the 3rd farm block. This is where we're starting. And in addition to that, we are going to be giving some of the funds towards our music program.
Well, after being dormant for close to 4 years, the Barbados Association of Journalists is back. The first meeting was held last Sunday to elect an interim committee. The interim president is Amanda Lynch Foster. She says increasing membership, facilitating training, and modifying the group's name to become the Barbados Association of Media Workers are among some of the ideas on the table.
We've gotten the impression over the years that people feel that the word journalist in the title is a bit exclusive. So sometimes we've had people who are sub-editors, for instance, at the newspapers, or people who are photographers or cameramen or broadcasters asking, well, does this include us? And yes, once you are involved in the process of collecting and distributing the news, as a, I don't want to say front line, because obviously people think the journalists are front line, but the people who are actually involved in recording, the people who are involved in getting it laid out, who are involved in creating the headlines, that kind of thing, who are involved in reading it, they are also considered journalists.
The BAJ's interim president says the group intends to use technology to facilitate meetings.
We're probably going to be more realistic with the number of meetings that we hold, because the last time we tried to have monthly membership meetings, and just with the rigors of journalism, it's a 24/7 job. There's really no off days that you can say, okay, great, you know, let's have it on a Saturday, let's have the meeting on a Sunday because people are off then. People are not off then. There's no day that you're going to have everyone off. But by using the live streaming, we actually got quite a heartening number of people participating. We actually had more people participating via the live stream than we had actually physically present. So we had about 15 people present at Solidarity House, and we had up to 33 or 35 people participating via the live stream, and they voted, they commented, and so on.
Barbados can continue to expect a weekly service from the Carnival Fascination. Director of Cruise with the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., Cheryl Franklin, made the comment on the sidelines of the vessel's return to Barbados.
What is particularly exciting about Carnival's return today is that they've come back with a brand new ship, virtually. The ship has been completely remodeled. They've spent millions of dollars on re-outfitting and reimagining the ship. And we're certain that that will actually drive demand for Barbados and the Southern Caribbean.
AgriFest 2018 is off with a bang, and this year the emphasis is on youth. Kareem Smith tells us more.
From as early as 9 this morning, thousands of primary and secondary school students were streaming onto the grounds of Queen's Park to see the wide array of poultry, livestock, fruits and vegetables that continue to be a mainstay at the festival. And under the theme Youth Farming the Future, this year is intended to be different. With foreign reserves declining, numerous calls for a sharp reduction of the country's $500 million food import bill has not gone on deaf ears, as officials hope to find new, innovative ways to bring farming to a place of prominence in the minds of the youth. CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says the key to success is increased production, which at this point is just too low.
The only one exception might be, of course, in terms of poultry, but even then, we can supply 100% of the market when it comes to poultry. And certainly, that's something that we will want to do. And of course, we have to look at all the other commodities that we have in terms of meat products, but especially in the area of vegetable products. I am not satisfied that we are utilizing a lot of the lands that we have available to us in terms of food production.
During the first day of AgriFest, students were treated to numerous forms of entertainment and were introduced to a variety of games which were popular from years ago. Mr. Paul also weighed in on an increasing amount of communities, including schools, being affected by cowage. He believes the failure of Barbadians to convert land to agriculture is a major contributor to the problem.
We have left the land fallow and we have not used it. On the other hand, if it was being cultivated, there will be no cowage. And we always use the excuse, or we point at somebody else, when we need to recognize that each of us individually can actually contribute to solving that particular problem. And that is why it is important that we have events like AgriFest that can remind people of their ability to contribute to the national food production.
Today was just the beginning, as the weekend promises to be action-packed and will feature a number of events, including the Black Belly competition. Last year's winners, Stephen Watson and Ian Branch, say they're extremely excited about this year's competition. but in keeping with the theme, say they won't be neglecting the youth.
I have 5 grandsons that are also will be in the ring exhibiting tomorrow. So that is my part. I can tell you that I am playing with youth. 5 young boys between the ages of 4 and 9 years old.
AgriFest will continue tomorrow and end on Sunday. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Well, after the break, we'll check in with our regional neighbors. St. Lucians have been reminded that everyone has a role to play in the development of the nation. This was stressed by Prime Minister Alan Chasney in his independence message. St. Lucia marked its 39th year of political independence yesterday. He says discipline, hard work, faith in God, and sound families are the foundations on which the country was built and must continue.
Therefore, as a government, we encourage religious knowledge in our schools and prayer in our communities. Fellow St. Lucians, we've had no shortage of national heroes who embody our greatness and our ability to excel. Dame Cézanne Descartes, Teresa Hall, Sir Derek Walcott, Sir Dunstan St. Omer, Sir Arthur Lewis, just to name a few. We continue to be a free and stable democracy, and we have much to be proud of in that regard. But my government wants your participation to forge a path to real independence, where we can stand on our own 2 feet and achieve greatness.
Prime Minister Chasney says his government continues to tackle critical issues head-on.
Elected into office, we've seen the rate of unemployment drop, but it's still far too high. One unemployed St. Lucian genuinely looking for work is one person too many. Crime continues to increase, in particular gang-related and domestic violence. While we are aware that there are many root causes, people cannot continue to feel excluded, powerless, or hopeless. We must therefore ensure that the new St. Lucia, which we are pledged to build, fast becomes a reality, of which everyone is a part.
The Caribbean Public Health Agency says vaccination remains the most effective way to prevent influenza. The contagious respiratory illness affects thousands of people in the Caribbean each year. CARVA is urging persons to practice good personal hygiene in order to reduce the risk of transmission of influenza and other respiratory viruses. Typically, the flu season in the region occurs between September to March, when there is usually an increase in the number of persons coming down with the flu in the Northern Hemisphere. CARFA is urging persons to take proactive measures to reduce the risk of transmission of influenza and other respiratory viruses. The Jamaica corruption watchdog, the National Integrity Action, has warned the island's failure to fully appoint a Chief Justice could negatively impact the way the country is seen when it comes to corruption. The warning comes as Jamaica moves up 15 places in the latest Corruption Perception Index.
Panic mode after an 18-year-old student at the institution sent out a voice note threatening violence against his fellow students. Since the incident, Education Minister Ruel Reid says he too is concerned.
Before I even heard about this voice note, it was something I've always been concerned about, whether or not we would have those kind of situation affecting our school system.
His opposition counterpart, Ronald Thwaites, also condemns the act.
We have to be able to detect students under stress and under pressure, not to excuse their wrong behavior, but to treat them before such incidents will arise. I'm hoping that we can include more social workers in school, more diagnosis of likely pathologies, emotional disturbances among our young people from the very earliest ages.
Mr. Reid says the Education Ministry is working to prevent any incidents of violence in schools. He says this latest incident should be a wake-up call for all schools to activate their safety and security plan.
For the Guidance and Counsel Department to track the students that are perceived and are known to be very vulnerable, and so we can respond. Equally, at the school security management level, right, as what the safety and security calls for, is to ensure that there are no weapons taken to our schools, no weapons brought on campus. So that is also a very protective mechanism.
This is in addition to panic buttons at schools as well as other safety devices. Shamela Mitchell, TVJ News.
We'll take a peek into the world of sports next, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Anti-doping rule violations number 4. Doping is the failure to file accurate athlete whereabouts information or receiving a missed test. This fact is brought to you compliments the National Anti-Doping Commission.